Welcome back to History of Simple Things. Today's topic comes from one of our viewers, Totally Turnip. Thanks for the suggestion. You asked, who is Jack and Jackfruit? If you've ever walked past one of these massive spiky fruits, marveled at its size, or even tasted its sweet tropical pods, you might have wondered about its unusual name. Most fruits are named after their color, shape, or place of origin, but jackfruit seems like it's named after some mysterious person named Jack. So who is this Jack, and why does he have a fruit named after him? Stick around as we explore the fascinating history behind jackfruit, from ancient South Asia to the English word we use today, right here on History of Simple Things. Before we talk about the name, it helps to know what this fruit actually is. The jackfruit comes from the tree species known as Artocarpus heterophyllus. It's native to South and Southeast Asia and is famous for producing the largest fruit that grows on a tree. Some jackfruits can weigh over 35 kilograms and grow more than half a meter long. The fruit has a thick, spiky green skin, and inside are dozens, sometimes hundreds, of yellow pods that taste sweet and fruity. Depending on ripeness, jackfruit can taste like a mix of banana, pineapple, and mango. In places like India, Thailand, and the Philippines, jackfruit has been eaten for centuries. In the Philippines, it's commonly called langka and shows up in desserts like halo-halo or sweet preserves. But despite its long history in Asia, the English name jackfruit didn't originate there. The story of the name actually begins in India. In the Malayalam language spoken in the southern Indian state of Kerala, the fruit was traditionally called chakka. When Portuguese traders arrived on India's Malabar coast in the late 1400s, they encountered this massive fruit and adopted the local word. However, the Portuguese pronunciation changed slightly. Instead of chakka, they began calling it jaca. Later, European writers who encountered the fruit added the English word fruit to the end, creating the term jackfruit. So the name didn't come from a person named Jack at all. It's simply the result of a local word being transformed as it traveled between languages. In other words, jackfruit is basically a linguistic remix of the original Malayalam word. The first recorded use of the English word jackfruit appeared in 1563 in a book written by the Portuguese physician and naturalist Garcia de Orta. In his book about plants and medicines found in India, he described the fruit and used the term jackfruit when writing in Portuguese-influenced English. This helped introduce the fruit and its name to European readers. From that point on, the word spread through travel writings, botanical studies, and trade routes. By the 1600s and 1700s, jackfruit had become the standard English name used by explorers and scientists. But the story still has one more twist. Interestingly, some people have suggested that the fruit might have been named after a Scottish botanist named William Jack, who worked in Southeast Asia in the early 1800s. At first glance, that seems plausible. Scientists have named plants after people many times before. However, there's one major problem with that theory. The word jackfruit was already being used more than a century before William Jack was even born. Because of that, historians and linguists generally agree that the name came from the Portuguese adaptation of chakka, not from a person named Jack. So despite the coincidence, William Jack probably had nothing to do with it. The real reason jackfruit has such a strange English name comes down to global trade and language mixing. When European explorers reached Asia in the 15th and 16th centuries, they encountered thousands of plants, spices, and foods that had never been described in Europe before. Without existing English names for them, explorers often borrowed local words, but those words rarely stayed the same. As they passed through Portuguese, Dutch, Spanish, and English speakers, the pronunciation slowly changed. That's how chaca, jackfruit, evolved over time. In fact, many everyday English words for tropical foods came from similar processes. Words like mango, teak, and even curry were also adapted from South Asian languages during the Age of Exploration. So the name jackfruit is really a linguistic souvenir from centuries of cultural exchange. Here's a fun twist. Jackfruit isn't just a tropical treat, it's also earning fame as a plant-based meat substitute. When unripe, the fruit's texture is surprisingly fibrous and meaty, making it perfect for vegan and vegetarian dishes that traditionally use pulled pork or chicken. In fact, chefs around the world have started using shredded jackfruit in tacos, sandwiches, and curries. Its neutral flavor when unripe means it easily absorbs spices and sauces, so it can mimic savory meats without being overwhelming. On top of that, jackfruit is packed with fiber, vitamin C, and potassium, making it a surprisingly healthy alternative. So next time someone tells you a fruit can taste like meat, you can confidently say, "Yes, jackfruit has been doing it for centuries." So in the end, the mystery of the jack in jackfruit turns out to be simpler than it sounds. The fruit wasn't named after a person at all. Instead, its name traveled across languages and continents. It started as chaca in southern India, became giaca when Portuguese traders adopted the word, and eventually transformed into jackfruit in English. What sounds like a strange name today is actually a small piece of history, a reminder of how languages evolve when cultures meet. And next time you see a giant jackfruit at the market, you'll know that behind that unusual name is a story that stretches back hundreds of years and across half the world. Not bad for a fruit that weighs as much as a bowling ball. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.